On November 30th, 2025, it finally happened. One of the greatest stories in modern Norwegian football reached its unbelievable climax. After a title drought that felt like it would never ever end, Viking FK were crowned champions of the Eliteserien. So how in the world did they finally break a 34-year curse? Well, let's get into it.
34. Just look at that number for a second. For the city of Stavanger, this wasn't just a number. No way. It was the weight of 3 decades of hope, of crushing near misses, and the dream of an entire community just waiting, praying to finally explode in celebration.
You have to understand, the last time Viking were champions was way back in 1991. To put that into perspective, most of the players on this championship-winning team weren't even born yet. The world was a completely different place. It was a whole other era of football.
All right, so how do you even begin to break a curse that long? Well, it all starts with a crystal-clear vision from the sidelines. Viking decided to put all their faith into a new coaching blueprint, and it was led by 2 men who were local through and through. That vision came from the coaching duo of Morten Jensen and Bjarte Lunde Aarsheim. See, instead of going out and chasing some big-name manager, the club chose to stick with their own. And their philosophy, it was all about absolute clarity. Every single training session had a specific goal, every player knew their role inside and out, and the team's tactical identity, that was set in stone.
And that tactical identity was incredibly smart. It was all about flexibility. Without the ball, they were a rock-solid, disciplined 4-3-3. But the very second they won possession, the whole team would just fluidly shift into this aggressive 4-2-3-1, and it immediately put their opponents on the back foot.
Their signature style was all about one thing: speed. We're talking pure vertical football. It was simple, but deadly. Step 1, win the ball back and win it back aggressively. Step 2, no sideways passes, no hesitation, get the ball forward immediately. Step 3, midfielders would just flood forward, creating total chaos. And finally, Step 4, the fullbacks would overlap on the wings, causing even more problems. It was absolutely relentless.
And you know, for those days when that fast-paced attack just wasn't clicking, they had another weapon in their back pocket: set pieces. These dead ball situations became one of their defining strengths, and they scored so many crucial game-winning goals from them all season long. But look, brilliant tactics were only half the story here. The team's biggest advantage, their real secret weapon, wasn't something you could just draw up on a whiteboard. Nope, it was something much deeper. It was what they called the Stavanger DNA.
I mean, this chart really says it all, doesn't it? This championship team was built on a massive core of local talent. These were players who grew up in the area, who dreamed of wearing that dark blue shirt their whole lives. They weren't just there to collect a paycheck.
And having that local core made a huge, tangible difference on the pitch. The intensity in training just went through the roof. The competition to get into that starting lineup was unbelievably fierce. And all of that forged this united, hard-working team that would simply outwork and wear down their opponents.
The mastermind behind this whole philosophy was the man working behind the scenes, sporting director Erik Nevland. His guiding principle was simple but powerful: recruitment based on identity, not hype. And let me tell you, that wasn't just some catchy slogan. It was the blueprint for everything they did.
So while their big rivals were out spending massive amounts of money on big-name players, Nevland was playing chess. He focused on finding guys who were undervalued but had the exact right mentality and hunger to fit their system. It was all about finding the perfect puzzle piece, not the most expensive one.
So you've got this perfect storm of tactics, culture, and smart recruitment. All of that got them into the title race. But to actually become champions, they had to survive the insane pressure cooker of the final months of the season. And they didn't just survive the pressure, they thrived on it. The final stretch of the season was just a masterclass in calm, disciplined football. Game after game, they put in these incredibly confident performances that pushed them right to the very top of the table and set up the most dramatic final day you can imagine.
So it all came down to this: the very last day of the season, a home game against Vålerenga. The entire city of Stavanger held its breath. 34 years of waiting, all boiling down to 90 minutes of football.
They didn't just win, they delivered an absolute statement. A dominant, breathtaking 5-1 victory that sealed the championship in the most emphatic way possible. The drought was over, the curse was broken. But you know, lifting that trophy wasn't the end of the story, not by a long shot. In a lot of ways, it was really just the beginning. This historic win was about so much more than just a piece of silverware.
Winning the Eliteserien completely changes a club's future. We're talking about guaranteed European qualification. The dream of those famous Champions League nights in Stavanger suddenly became a real possibility. And of course, a financial windfall of hundreds of millions that secures the club's future for years to come. It's a total game changer.
When you boil it all down, Vikings' 2025 triumph is just this powerful reminder of what makes sports so great. It's proof that a strong identity can absolutely beat a bigger budget, and it's proof that a deep, collective belief can overcome decades of pressure.
So, after 34 long years, they were champions of Norway. But this victory, it really feels less like an ending and more like the start of something really special. Which leaves us all with one final question to think about. With the championship built on such a strong foundation of identity, strategy, and local pride, is this the start of a new dynasty for Viking?